see you. Got a lot of things breaking in criminal justice and law enforcement. But an interesting case, and that's the Brandon Montreal Jones. It goes back to a traffic stop in 2019. So people came up, according to the officer's report, and said, hey, this guy we think just tossed a gun away or whatever. And that just, it went from a traffic stop to an investigation and then to a trial with conviction and then to a guilty plea. But the District Attorney General's office noted that the court imposed consecutive sentences, not concurrent. You know, a lot of times you have long sentences, but they'll run concurrently. But with consecutive sentences, this young man who is 29 is now looking at 48 years in prison. And they made a point of that they consider drug dealers a dangerous element in this community, a dangerous trade, a corrupting trade, or whatever. And I take it they were making a point of this, and the court was making a point of this, to do consecutive sentences. And every once in a while you'll see courts do that. They say, okay, we've had enough of this, and it's time to send a statement here. And that's my interpretation of this.
I think you're exactly right, Steve. You know, and we don't really know what this guy's history was.
Right. That didn't come out of the, but there had been multiple offenses, is what they're saying.
Yeah. Well, one of the charges had on was a convicted felon in possession of a loaded firearm during a dangerous crime.
Right.
A couple of things I really liked about this, and this is good, bragging on Jackson, Tennessee, and it can go all over this country. It'd be great. You had a police officer stop the car for what they classify as a minor traffic violation.
Right.
How many times have we said there are no routine traffic?
No routine traffic.
Okay. The city officer has got the car stopped. A Madison County Sheriff's deputy is over fueling his vehicle, gassing up. And they citizen stopped and said, hey, that car has got stopped over there. I saw the passenger in that car throw a gun up under the car next door.
Okay,
so the sheriff's department, the deputy gets through his stuff as quick as he can, runs up there and says, hey, boss, somebody just stopped me and said they threw a gun on that car. The passenger of the car now, not the driver.
Right.
Remember, we're stopped for a minor violation,
Right.
passenger of the car, and they looked and there was a car next to him, and they later got it on the store video on him. Through a gun, the loaded gun, plus a bag of pot and meth, I think. You know, it's a great example of a lot of things we talk about. You know, the citizen involvement is wonderful. You got 2 or 3 different agencies working together, and you show that these routine traffic stops are not routine. They got a bad actor off the street before he kills somebody, possibly. Good deal, good case.
Okay, good case.
Proud of everybody around here.
49 years. We had a guilty plea in the attempt to kidnap Governor of Michigan. One of 9 defendants, and one has pled guilty. The other 8 are going to trial. You got a 6-year sentence, and you say that was less than the prosecution said that because he's cooperated with them.
Right.
Now, he's cooperated with them, and the prosecution recommended that he do 9 years.
The prosecution is going overboard talking about his cooperation.
Okay.
And the sentence could have gone to 17 and a half years. The prosecution recommended 9.
9. Okay.
And they were on his side, you know. So in a case like this, prosecution
And the court cut it to 6.
Yeah, getting 75 months.
Okay.
It's a little over 6 years.
Of course, he's asking for protection because he's turned on his.
They better give him some protection.
Okay.
You know, these other guys.
If you're one of those 8 others, and you look at this, of course, you could go to trial and you may be found not guilty. You know, they may, they say, well, the state didn't prove their case or whatever, right? Okay. But then if you're looking at this and he got 6 years, they were recommending 9. They've got to be concerned about what the prosecution is going to ask for them if they get a conviction.
Well, sure you would. Now, of course, they're going to go at this guy hard when he tries to testify. If they go to trial, they'll really come at him hard.
Yeah.
But that's not all the feds have. See, when they arrested him, they said this guy filled in gaps. They had an informant.
Well, they were inside the operation.
They were inside the operation.
Are they going to be accused of setting this up, entrapment, and all this other stuff?
Well, they always try to say that, Steve. But you know, for entrapment, but just basically speaking, I've got to put it in your mind to commit a crime, and you never would have committed that crime. Never would have thought of putting it in place if I hadn't introduced the thought into your mind. They'll try that. They'll always try, but it won't come work. But they were serious. They were practicing with guns, surveilled her home day and night. You know, nighttime and daytime surveillance. Had explosives ready to put on bridges to slow police response in case they took her out from her home. They practiced with guns, practiced breaching buildings. The plan was to either put her on a trial, their trial, or put her in the middle of Lake Michigan in a boat with no motor. It was all over COVID-19.
Okay.
But these people are the Wolverine militia, and these that haven't gone to court yet. Remember, these guys are they believe in what they're doing. They're pretty dedicated, serious individuals.
On the law enforcement side of things, before we get to this Dr. Clarkson, another tape has surfaced in the state of Louisiana of this man that confirmed he was beaten with a flashlight by this highway patrol in Louisiana. Okay, it's not the only video that's out there, but the second one that's come out, this is more graphic than the other. And two officers are already charged. One of those officers has died since then. But the question's coming up now. Okay, those videos were there. Louisiana authorities knew they were there, and they never released this. So how do you hide a video like that?
Yeah, and you know, you asked that right before we went on there, Stephen. I don't know how you would hide that.
That's what creates concern on the part of the general public, I think,
Sure.
is that if you get inside a system that is corrupt or doesn't want anything out, all that stuff is there, and still Louisiana is saying, hey, these officers need to be prosecuted. They hid this thing.
Well, and we don't know the ins and outs. Hide might not be the proper terminology.
All right, so you think I'm exaggerating?
Well, I don't know, Steve. Just don't know. They may have been looking at this at some level or another for a while.
Your suspicion is that George Floyd and other things putting the pressure on departments is like somebody says, hey,
Sure.
we've got this stuff, right? I mean, because there was no effort to prosecute them.
I understand people. I don't know. I saw that right before I left the house this morning, so and I hadn't had a chance to look at it. But I do know this, and you know, believe it or not, we were putting police in jail a long time before George Floyd got
I
killed.
understand that.
You know, but these guys,
made the point clear.
yeah, and once again, as with everything else, the pandemic happened in between this. But I can see a situation, Stephen. I don't know this happened. But you know, on our show, we give a benefit of the doubt to everybody, to police and non-police.
Okay.
I can see the Louisiana State Police people looking at it and saying, look out, we got to do something more with this. Just disciplinary is not going to matter. All right, move it up to this level. Let this bunch look at it. All right, now you sit over here, you look at it. Well, we better get the feds involved. I don't know that any of that happened, but I can see a possibility where that happened.
Because the impression is
You're hiding.
you're hiding.
Sure.
It
Sure. That's just like when you do a press conference, see, and the police say no comment. The first thing you know,
You think is okay.
they're hiding something. You know. But you know, my position, the system, maybe it's not doing as fast as we'd like. It appears to be working. It appears that it is working.
Meanwhile, you know, in Clarksville, Tennessee, we had a doctor convicted of just, you know, we've got cases here that are still coming up.
Yeah.
Of course, we've had some that have been processed through already. But it's just, you know, it's an astronomical amount of money
Yes. Yes.
and an astronomical amount of drugs that are alleged to have gone through a small clinic in Clarksville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
It's just kind of stunning.
It was enough going on, Steve, and this caught my eye. It's enough going on that they got, you know, like search warrant type
Right.
documents, put up cameras,
Right.
you know, in a medical office.
Okay.
And the judge won't just sign off on that routinely.
Okay.
You gotta have some evidence.
Okay.
And they also had enough going on there, you know, enough volume, I was guessing, that they put undercover. That they worked it undercover.
Undercover, right.
They brought some spiked urine in there that they knew was hot.
Hot, right.
And they just went on through. Had 2 patients overdose in the waiting room. Evidently, and this guy was a pastor at a
Church.
Yeah, the church, the God's Sanctuary Church International, is what the article said. But that's one we're going to it seemed like it's, in the last couple of years, we've had a lot of that.
Well, I tell you, it turns you over to the presentation of Rotary. Of course, fentanyl, oxycontin, heroin, all this opioid stuff. Now top 5.
Yeah.
Still pales in comparison to methamphetamine.
I didn't realize that.
Still pales in comparison to methamphetamine. According to a number of cases that come with the crime lab and utilization of those
Right.
forces in prosecuting cases.
Right, yeah.
But it's still stunning that it is, I mean, that, you know, crack cocaine, all this other stuff. It's over the counter oxycontin, opioids, it's fentanyl, it's heroin, it's all this other stuff, and it's extensive. And we're going to be flushing that out of the system for a long time.
I remember a class I went to in Glencoe, Georgia in '94. We had a guy from Michigan and Minnesota one there, and he was talking about OxyContin. And we had guys from all over the country. And we'd never heard of it.
So what is that stuff? Well, that's legal. Don't be worried about that. Well, you know, addictive. But what is this about Governor Cuomo and clemency?
He has offered clemency. Now, my understanding is he's still got to go in full board of parole with somebody.
This is in New York. We're talking New York.
In New York.
But now he's out of office.
Well, he did this before he went out. I guess he is officially out officer.
Yeah, he's out officer. We got a new
That's
girl
right.
out
That's
there.
right. Well,
She
he
came in
did this
week.
before he left, and I guess now just surfacing.
So what did he offer, or what did he approve?
This guy, this is a famous deal. It was one of the last acts of the Weather Underground. Remember the Weather Underground group?
Did the bombings on
Right. Well, they robbed a Brinks truck 40 years ago. $1.6 million. Now, to the rest of us, Steve, that's a lot of money. Especially 40 years ago.
Yeah.
In this robbery that killed 2 police officers and a guard.
Okay, so we got 1.6 million plus multiple murders.
Yeah. And in fairness, this guy was the getaway driver, but that don't matter to me. Maybe somebody, it doesn't matter to me. He's part of it. And they knew they went in there ready to kill. Or this
Well, that was part of that social
exactly
disruptive,
right.
protesting the war. We're taking over the country.
Exactly right.
Okay.
Well, the one boy has offered
Politically motivated.
Now this guy, sir, he got a 75-year life sentence. But he served 40 years. In fairness, he's been in there 40 years. And they say he's done a great. Sound like he's an asset to the prison system. Me, I think they should leave him because he's helping a lot of other prisoners from what they say. Okay. Now who was lobbying Cuomo, according to the article, was the guy who got clemency. His name is David Gilbert.
So the governor has given him clemency out.
They said he was out, and then they said he had to go before some kind of board, like a board of parole or something. I wasn't real clear with it.
Okay.
But his son is the district attorney general in San Francisco. That's been he's been lobbying to. And now, of course, the California DAs are a little.
Well, the Weather Underground, it came out that.
Sure.
Black Panthers also came out saying. Okay.
Yeah, pretty interesting.
All right. So one point was his last acts was, but the guy's done 40 years. They say.
40 years. He has done 40 years.
But there were 3 officers and $1.6 million.
Yeah.
I'm sure those family members saying he should never do that.
Yeah, they were several close to the family. And they said,
Okay. Sure. Susan Smith case and some other things. Murder moms.
I wanted to throw that in. There's a series going on Fox right now, Nancy Grace, in a series called Murder Moms. There's one it may be tonight. I'm not sure which night it is, but it's a Susan Smith murder case. Okay. It's a famous case. I used to use it in class. Okay. Show the video, and I'm sure they'll show this video. And the reason I threw it in, it's interesting because we all feel like we're kind of body language experts, and frankly, we are. We all are.
Okay.
Kind of body
we don't realize.
She claimed to begin with that some black man came up and kidnapped her and her kids, ran the kids off in the lake, and then he ran off. That was her.
To the point, and it was believed to the point people were looking for this suspect.
Oh yeah, looking left and right. Yeah. And then finally they got her in and really started talking to her. Yeah, she went to the hospital. Oh yeah. I don't think it took them long, but initially, yeah, you're going to be looking. But if they have the video of her being interviewed with him, just folks watch it and say, one thing that will catch your eye is she never talked about the children. What she talked about the whole time, what she was going through, and I felt this. You saw no remorse for the children, nothing like that. But her body language would have very interesting if they play it, and I bet they'll play it on TV.
Jimmy Leach, the investigator. Steve Bowers with you at Blue Suede Forever. Jimmy Leach will be back on the air at 9 o'clock Saturday morning.
9 o'clock Saturday, yes, sir.
93.1 FM. So be tuned in and be listening.
Honestly, kick your weekend off just right.
We're on the way to a conversation with the Pentagon with Tom Scuteri. This is Blue Suede Forever.